Hey everyone, today we're taking a look at some of HK Army's tank accessories because they have a bunch of them, so we thought we'd take a look. Most of these are basically about protecting your tank and protecting the bits of your tank. Most of them, not all, but we'll get to that. And we're just going to cover them all in one video because most of them are just kind of little minor things, nothing's reinventing the wheel here, but they're useful things to have, especially if you want to protect your tank, and tanks are expensive, so I should hope you do. So in no particular order, we're going to start off with their little rubber gauge protectors. It's basically just this thing right here. It's a little rubber sleeve that goes over your air gauge, and then that way, you're hopefully not damaging your air gauge. And I'm sure if you've owned your own air tanks before, like, it's only a matter of time before those air gauge get smashed. So if you want to increase the amount of time it takes for them to get smashed, and hopefully maybe even not ever get them smashed, grab one of these little rubber air gauge thingies. They do come in a bunch of different colors. Everything I'm going to talk about today comes in a bunch of different colors. I'm not going to list them all off, but there's a bunch. So whatever color you want these in, chances are you'll be able to get it. Next thing is going to be just this thread protector right here. It's just this little thread protector. You just screw it on and off just to make sure that when you're not using your tank, when it's in storage or whatever, you're not damaging the threads, because obviously that is bad. If you damage the threads of the tank enough, then you're going to have issues with it not pressurizing or just being really hard to get in and out of the ASA. So that's why you want to protect your threads. And it also, right on top, you can see, it actually holds 2 extra O-rings. So if you happen to lose an O-ring on your tank, you actually got your spares right there on your thread protector, which is really nice. Again, comes in a bunch of different colors. So yeah, whatever color you want this in, chances are you can get it. Next thing is going to be the fill nipple cover. And yeah, like, none of these are major, none of these are things you've never seen before, but they're useful things to have. If you don't have a fill nipple cover, I strongly recommend it. Getting crud and dirt inside the fill nipple will mean that you eventually have to take the fill nipple off to clean it, which is annoying. Like, it's not the worst thing in the world, but if you can avoid it, why wouldn't you? And this one is just a super simple little, like, it's got little ball bearings in it that keep it on, so it's not going to fall off on you. But when you do want to take it off, really, really easy, just pops right off. That way you can fill your tank and then pop that back on, and then there's no crud getting in there. Yay. And the last thing we're going to talk about, it's the one thing that's not really about protecting the tank, and that is a Reg Extender. And this is much, much more specific. Not everybody is going to need one of these or even really understand why you would need one of these. Because honestly, all this does is it adds like an inch in length to your tank. That's all it does. It's just basically, it's a little threaded ASA that you just screw on top of the top of your tank, and now your tank is about an inch longer. There's 2 main reasons why you would want one of these things. One is if you're using a tank that just feels like, if you're using your tank as like a stock, like on most like tournament markers and stuff like that, it kind of needs to be a certain length in order for it to be comfortable. And if you find that your tank is a little bit too short, it's just not that comfortable to shoot your marker at that point, because you're kind of doing this when you'd rather be doing this. So if you need an extra like inch on the length of your tank, you can do that with this. The other reason, and this is even more specific and probably these days not that popular, but if you use something that's called a drop forward ASA, it's basically like, if you've never seen one before, it's going to sound like a weird concept, but it's essentially just a way to move the ASA from the bottom of the grip to like in front of it and below. People did it for balance or whatever other weird reasons. I'm not entirely sure why. I've never personally used one. I'm sure people will correct me in the comments, which is cool. But basically, those drop forward ASAs, every once in a while, they can interfere with like the gauge or the fill nipple. So if you need to add just like a little bit more length so it doesn't bump into anything, you can do that with a Reg Extender. So yeah, it adds an inch to your tank. So like, again, most people would not need these things, but if you do need it, it does exist. You can buy them, and you can buy them in a bunch of different colors. So yeah, those are the HK tank accessories. HK has tons of accessories. We thought we'd just talk about some of the ones specifically about that, affect your tank and protect your tank, because, these are expensive. You don't want to break them. You don't want to damage them. But yeah, what do you guys think? Like, are there other... Those of you specifically, I'm curious, does anyone use the Reg Extender? And if so, why? Because it does seem like a very specific thing for a very specific problem. But yeah, maybe I'm just not thinking of it properly. If you can come up with a good reason for a Reg Extender or anything like that, let me know in the comments, and thanks for watching.